Right, Joe Opetaia, a couple of months away, 6 or so weeks away to your next world title defence. How's camp going? What's your sort of outlook, mindset heading into this fight?
Yeah, good man. We've been training hard, doing what we can. Fucking just sort of building the machine, and now it's time to start sharpening up and get those rounds in. So
What's the situation? Calf injury sort of postponed this fight?
yeah, little calf injury, but it's all sorted now. We're not stressing about it. Now it's time to put the foot down and really sort of do all the boxing, the rounds and the sparring and the partner work and stuff like that. So, it's exciting.
How do you approach a fight? Is it fully focused on yourself, or do you look at much of your opponent? What do you know about this guy? Do you do much tape work?
Yeah, we do bits and pieces. He ain't got nothing we ain't seen before. He's a come forward fighter, strong punches, throws a lot of bombs. But we just got to focus on ourselves and, minimise all our mistakes and make sure that we perform on the night.
You're Australia's only world champion, male world champion. Does that sort of add any extra pressure? Do you feel weight on your shoulders to sort of perform in these fights?
Oh, there's no extra pressure than what's already there. We always have pressure on us. We always have to win, otherwise it's going to set us back. These fights are all important. This guy comes with, everything to gain and nothing to lose, so they're always dangerous. These guys always come in, they're always a risk, but we just got to fight smart, do our job, and make sure we perform on the night.
What's the main motivation for you at the moment? Is it to sort of get to that unification fight, become a unified champ, maybe undisputed down the track? What motivates Joe Opetaia?
Um, Man, we just got to win. Those unification fights is obviously what we were chasing, but it's all becomes impossible unless we keep winning. We gotta stay on the ball and not get comfortable. So, we just got to keep proving ourselves.
The fight with Zurdo Ramirez, do you think he's sort of delaying that fight? You said you're ready for that fight. How do you sort of assess that situation?
I don't know, man. The fight's there. We've been chasing it for quite a while. He's. I just got told today he's fighting on a Jake Paul undercard. So, you know, who knows what they're up to? Or what they're doing. I'm just trying to really focus on me and win my fights and move in that direction of a unification fight.
What about a potential those guys coming up from light heavy like Bivol, Beterbiev? Any interest in fighting those guys potentially?
Sure, if those fights happen, man, they happen. But right now I'm chasing unification fights. So if one of those big fights come across and they put one of those fights together, they send for a contract, why not? Why wouldn't you take that fight? But at the moment, man, my sights are on a unification fight. But like I said, I'm open to fucking whatever.
You had some fights over there in Saudi, Riyadh season. How'd you enjoy that experience? How does it sort of compare to here on the Gold Coast? Beautiful place here on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, man, those Saudi fight nights, being a part of those, they're hard to deal with, but they're hard to compete with. I mean, they're just so professional, and they're the biggest fight nights in history they're putting together. But I feel like our last sort of turnout and stuff like that, and the way sort of Tasman fighters has been sort of keeping up with those world class fight nights is good, man, and it's good to be a part of it, and good to be able to give a platform for the other fighters to fight on as well.
How do you assess the Australian boxing landscape? You're obviously leading the way. There's some other guys there as well. What are your thoughts on Australian boxing?
Man, Australia boxing's in one of the best positions it's been on for a long time, in my opinion. We've got myself, Tszyu, Cambosis, we got the girls doing the world titles. Like there's just so much world class boxers that are headlining shows at the moment, and just giving that international platform. So it's good.
What did you make of Tim's performance there a couple of weeks ago against Spencer? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, good man. He dominated him. I didn't get to watch it live. I was with some family at the time, but I've seen the highlights and I've looked back at it, and he dominated the whole fight. He's world class, and his comeback's going to be huge, I feel.
Let's talk of George Gambosis, Hitchens. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, good on him, man. That's a huge fight. you know, it's good to see other Aussies fighting for these big international cards. And like I said, it's laying a platform for the ones coming up too. So it's awesome to see.
Just one last one on yourself. You said multiple times you fight for your family. I asked your dad how that makes him feel that his son's, fighting for his family and his family's future. Can you sort of speak about why that's so important to you?
Well, man, we've all made a lot of sacrifices to get to where we are. You know, myself, my family. So, it's we fight for our last name. You know, the legacy for that, and yeah, so it's important to us.
How does this fight end, June 8th?
Man, I'm not sure how it ends. You know, the way of the win, but my hand has to be raised at the end of the fight, and that's all I care about.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, man.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.